Salutaciones. So this video is for those of you who missed either part or all of the By Myself poem assignment. So you might have been here the day that we analyzed this poem. It's called By Myself by Eloise Greenfield. So if you were here the day that we filled this out, you can go ahead and fast forward through the video to the part that is relevant to you. But I'm going to go ahead and start from the beginning in case you missed all of it. So, first of all, this poem is called By Myself. I'm just going to read it. It says, when I'm by myself and I close my eyes, I'm a twin. I'm a dimple in a chin. I'm a room full of toys. I'm a squeaky noise. I'm a gospel song. I'm a gong. I'm a leaf turning red. I'm a loaf of brown bread. I'm a whatever I want to be and anything I care to be. And when I open my eyes, what I care to be is me. Alright, so looking up at the directions up here, it says put a bracket around each stanza and number each of them. So remember, a stanza is when there's a break between lines in a poem. We don't have any breaks between any of these lines, which means there's only one stanza in this poem. So we're going ahead and going to draw a bracket around the entire stanza. And then write number 1 right here, because that's how we label stanzas. Then it says number every line of the poem. So, these are the lines right here. And we label them on the left-hand side. So we just use numbers and we just go all the way down. Super easy. Now I'm using a pen here, but you should be using a pencil. I'm using a pen so that it shows up more easily in the video for you to see. Alright, and then the next step is to find the rhyme scheme of the poem using printed capital letters to identify the rhymes at the end of the lines. Alright, so this might be a little bit more tricky than just writing numbers down. So when we label rhyme schemes, we label it at the end of the line, and we use capital printed letters like it says in the directions. So the first line of every poem is always going to have a capital printed A. Super easy. First letter of the alphabet. And then you go to the next line and you ask yourself, does this rhyme with the one before it? It doesn't, right? Eyes and myself do not rhyme. So it's going to get the next letter of the alphabet, which is a B. And you go to the next line. Does twin rhyme with eyes or myself? No. So it gets a capital printed C. Now, does chin rhyme with twin or eyes or myself? Yes, it rhymes with twin, so it's also going to get a capital printed C. Does toys rhyme with any of the lines that have come before it? Remember, you can't just look at the line that was right before it, you have to look at all of them. The answer is no, so it's going to get a capital printed D. And then noise rhymes with toys. Even though they're spelled differently, they don't look like they rhyme, but when you say it out loud, you can tell that they do. So that's also going to get a capital printed D. Alright, go ahead and pause this video and do that for the rest of the poem, please, and come back when you're finished. Alright, so the very last step we have in this poem is to label the repetition. It says using a different colored pencil for each set, underline key words or phrases that demonstrate repetition. So in this poem specifically, we're looking for more than one word that repeat themselves over and over and over. So, at least two words that repeat themselves more than once. So I'd say the most obvious one is probably I'm a. Not just I'm, but I'm a, because it always repeats with the A afterwards. So we're going to underline all of those. And you should be using a colored pencil for this part. Once again, I'm using a pen. Alright. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can find any other examples of repetition. Alright, now that you have all of this filled out, you can go ahead and put this aside and take out your brainstorming sheet. It looks like this. Alright, so on this paper, you are going to be brainstorming ideas for a poem that you are going to write about yourself in the same pattern that the poem we just read was in. So you see how she's describing things that she would turn into if, she closes her eyes. She imagines herself turning into these things. I'm a twin, I'm a dimple in a chin, I'm a room full of toys, I'm a squeaky noise. So what are some of the things that make you unique? What are some of the things that you love or that you just really like? So that's what you're going to write down here, and you can even start thinking about maybe some words that rhyme with each other. Okay? Wonderful. Alright, when you're finished with that, please be sure to write your first name and your last name and your number on here. So remember, when we're brainstorming, we don't have to use full sentences. You don't even have to fill out these parts if you don't want to. You can kind of write wherever you need to. Full sentences, just words. You can write in rhymes. You don't have to write rhymes yet. But we want to start thinking about the poems that we're going to write about ourselves. Alright, when you're finished with that, we're going to go ahead and take out this sheet. So, this is your version of the poem. By myself, please be sure to write your name, your first name and your last name. And then it already has when I'm by myself and I close my eyes. And this is where you get to write your poem. So, like I said, we're following the same pattern as the last poem. And you can see that her lines start after it says when I'm by myself and I close my eyes, it says I'm a. So, let's go ahead and start there. So your nicest cursive handwriting, you can go ahead and write I'm a, and you can write it on this line too. Alright, so now we're following the same rhyme scheme as this poem, and see how these two lines rhyme with each other? We want these two lines to rhyme with each other as well. So, I drink a lot of tea, so I might write, I'm a cup of tea, but you should make this unique to yourself, okay? Look on your brainstorming sheet. What was one of the things that you wrote? And if you only had one word, maybe you can make it more descriptive. I had kids say, I'm a tree, but you can make it more creative than that. You can say, I'm a large oak tree. Because it doesn't really matter how long the line is, you just want to make sure that they rhyme with each other. So, I'm going to say I'm a happy bumblebee, because bumblebee and tea rhyme with each other. Alright, and that's just an example to get you started, but I don't want you to get too hung up on the rhymes, because you can actually think really creatively. For example, if there's a word you really want to use in this poem, but you can't figure out how to rhyme it with another word, you can get creative by saying, for example, I had a student who really wanted to use the word gymnast, but she couldn't figure out what that rhymes with. So she instead said, I'm a gymnast on a mat, and then she just had to rhyme with mat, which is a lot easier to rhyme with. So you can start thinking that way, and go ahead and fill these out, alright? So pause this video, come back when you're finished. Alright, so the next piece of paper you should be getting out is this one right here. Go ahead and put your name, first name, last name, and your number on it. It says in the boxes below, illustrate at least 3 key details of what Eloise Greenfield envisions herself to be when she closes her eyes, which stand out to you. So these are 3 things from the original poem that you're going to draw. She says, I'm a leaf turning red, so you could draw a leaf turning red in one of these boxes. And then it says in the boxes below, illustrate at least 3 key details from the poem you wrote of what you envision yourself to be when you close your eyes. So these are 3 things from your poem that you're going to draw. So go ahead and pause the video and come back when you're finished with that. Alright, and then this is the fun part. So now you're going to get out your big piece of construction paper. It should be folded in half just like this. So where you open it up, it's going to be like a booklet. And you're going to take a glue stick, and you're going to glue the original poem on the very front. And then when you open it up, your illustrations are going to be glued to this page right here. And then your version of the poem is going to be glued to this page right here. Alright? And that is it. Now, if you'd like, you can also turn in your brainstorming sheet. It can just be loose inside the booklet. It doesn't have to be glued down. Alright, thank you very much, and have fun. I hope you had fun writing your poems. Wala te omnes.